So, to that point, there's a fun exercise that I like to do when all of my habits go to shit. Hopefully, we could curse on here. When all my habits go to shit, um, I do this thing called habit stacking, where I slowly get back into my routines, easiest to hardest habits. And what I'll do is I'll focus on getting one down, like you said. So let's say for a few months, I don't do anything. I wake up, I feel like shit. I don't journal, I don't meditate, I don't do anything. I'll start journaling again. And I'll focus on just going every single day journaling. That's it. Not, I'm going to jump back in and become that machine that I was when I was 22, because obviously something came into place and threw my life into chaos. So I'm going to journal every single day. I'm going to do that for a week, and then next week I'm going to work on another habit. So now I'm going to journal every day and meditate. And it's for me, the analogy that I tell people um, whenever they fall off or whenever they're trying something new is positive momentum is extremely harder to maintain than negative momentum is. To go a bit further, imagine pushing a boulder up a hill. That's hard. It takes no effort to push that boulder down the hill. Just flick it. It's gonna go down the hill by itself. You know what I mean? So if you start doing shit that you're not fond of, and those are your negative habits, you'll keep doing that because boy, does your brain love to not do things. Your brain, the only thing it wants to do is procreate. That's it. It doesn't even want to eat. It the basic things like breathing and swallowing, that's so far behind. Like that is in your reptilian brain. Like that's the thing that just keeps you alive so you can go procreate. Everything else, it wants to choose the path of least resistance. So it takes no effort to be lazy. It takes all the effort in the world to be great. You get what I'm saying? So positive momentum is harder to maintain than negative momentum. So, instead of saying, damn, my boulder went all the way down the mountain again, start making a new boulder, push a little rock up the hill. That's easier to do. And not to mention that sense of accomplishment is it's way more motivating than saying, all right, I bounced back from being down in the dumps and I'm right back to where I was. No, you say, I'm a little bit better than I was last week, that's just as good.
Yep. Yep. It sounds like if you haven't already, go listen to our last episode where we talk about literally the tool of the month. And we talk about this exactly. I mean, I have 5 things that I do every day to make sure I'm always building habits and making sure I'm getting tasks done. But you can make it. You can do exactly what Leon just said with that same formula of incorporating the tool of the month. And we could do this all day long for you guys. I mean, what do you guys really want?
Hmm.
But I want to talk because you mentioned when things are in chaos, you mentioned kind of what you do is more like the habit stacking.
Hmm.
And so one of the I think you mentioned to me at least one of the things that was tough for you that I know that you recently experienced was coding for 100 days
Hmm.
straight.
Hmm.
And a lot of the people that actually kept you going because again, I would never forget, it was this one phrase, see it through, my boy.
Yeah, yeah,
That was the one phrase that you were saying. I was even saying it to you because
every
again, just
day.
doing something every day
Hmm.
nonstop. For how long, like in terms of hours, were you doing it for?
At minimum 3 hours a day. It was a lot. It's crazy.
Yeah, so you're doing something for 100 days for
For
three
3 hours.
hours out of your day.
Yeah.
How is it, like, how do you see that go through, like, for real, for real?
Um, so I feel like the biggest catalyst for change is anger. Um, when you're really, really, really frustrated with how things are going in your life, you'll change. You know, you could
you
you could
say
go
you
to
you, you say
you'll
you don't
change.
change.
No, you
Oh,
will
you will.
change. You'll
Okay.
change because what happens is that anger fuels you. And I hated my job. I didn't hate the people. I never hated anyone that I worked with. It was great. But boy, did I despise like not being mentally challenged by my work. Work doing something with half a brain. The only reason I was able to listen to 50 audiobooks is because my fingers were doing the work. My brain was never active. And, I- it was mundane and I just wasn't a fan of what I was doing. So I said, something's got to give. So I said, all right, let that hate fuel you. Go to work every day, and then do something that pisses you off, or make somebody say something that pisses you off. So you leave every day, and you say, "I gotta do this shit." Come home, open up my laptop, code every day. Right? Um, that was probably the hardest thing that I've ever had to do in my life because it was every single day. I didn't take a single day off, not even the weekends. So burnout is inevitable. So what I did was I had people publicly hold me accountable because that's another great way to have these habits continue. So I just did it in public, and I'm usually someone who doesn't really publicly talk about my goals. Um, Back to 2019 when I was doing when my goal was to get financially stable and literate. I did another thing called morning motivation videos where I posted a motivational video every day on Instagram, right? So again, if you tie in the big goal to the smaller ones and you just create this little funnel of goals that you have to do something every day, that's a form of habit stacking too. Because, all right, if the first thing that I was doing was posting that video on Instagram, that means that I could have stayed consistent with that. That was that little small win for the day that made me say, okay, I'm going to do something else that I wanted to do every single day and then just slowly build on that. So back to the 100 Days of Code. I publicly put on Instagram, I put on Twitter, I said, I'm coding for 100 days. Here's day one. Nobody paid attention for day one. People won't pay attention because they have their own things going on. Around day 50, if 5 o'clock came and I didn't log what I was doing, people would be like, "What's up, man? You not coding no more?" And I'm like, "No, I'm coding. I just haven't logged." You know what I mean? Like things are getting a little bit harder, so I can't just say, "Oh, I did this small thing." Um, and then there was this there was this meme that was like, "Got to see it through, my boy." Like, and I just took that and I just ran with it and I started using the hashtag in my 100 days of code as well. And then people around me started saying it. And I was like, "Oh shit, okay, cool." Like it was very nice to have that sense of community while I did it. But again, the anger fueled me, the hate of just being stagnant and no growth in what I was doing. I was like, I gotta get into tech. And I did the